So, it starts pouring rain out of nowhere. And outside this little wooden shack, there's a horde of zombies just gathered around. A guy is desperately banging on the door, begging to be let in. He's yelling that his name is Jang Hung, pleading for them to open up. Inside, everyone's hiding, scared, just listening to the screams. The thing is, his own friends are blocking the door, and one of them is like, "What are we supposed to do?" That's when a blonde girl just screams for them to let him in. She says Jong Hong is her boyfriend and they can't just leave him out there like that. So, they have to open the door right now. But one of the other guys says that's insane 'cause he's definitely been bitten by the zombies by now. The blonde girl shoots back that it doesn't matter. She's the class representative and she wouldn't abandon anyone, so she'll take full responsibility for whatever happens. Keeps insisting that leaving him out there screaming for help is basically the same as murdering him. That line, it really gets to one of the guys. He turns to the dude next to him, a guy named Yai, and says he's going to open the door and that Yaya needs to slam it shut the second the guy gets inside. Before Yai can even say anything, the guy starts counting down. Everyone is super tense. On 3, he twists the doorknob. But right then, Ye gets shoved through the doorway. Their friend had already turned into a zombie. Everyone inside is in total shock, and the protagonist, Ye, shouts, warning them that he's already infected, that this was a terrible idea. The blonde girl tries to run, pushing people back, and everyone starts screaming for help. Poor Ye throws his hand up to block a bite. Of course, his arm is in a shield, and he gets bitten. The pain is just absolute. But in that moment something weird happens. Ye starts getting memories. On that day, he lost his arm. The creatures got in, all because of the blonde girl, and everyone tried to escape. Soon after, they found out the entire city had been swallowed by the apocalypse. A hooded man asks him if he's sure he knows what he's doing. The doctor watches him, and he knew he only had 2 things to do. With that, he pressed the door handle. The first was to save himself, and the second was to get revenge. And now he's back in the present. The moment right before the door was opened. After living a whole life in the apocalypse, missing an arm, he was back where it all started. Outside, Jung Hung is banging on the door, asking to get in. And the blonde girl is once again telling everyone to open it, saying she's the representative and wouldn't abandon her classmates. Ye recognizes Lee Roxy and wonders why she looks so young all of a sudden. She asks if they're deaf and tells them to let Jan Hung in because if they don't, they'd be killing that guy. Yubai celebrates internally. Everything he'd planned had worked. He came back to change the world. He calls out the representative. He warns her that Jin Hung, the guy outside, might have been bitten. So, how exactly is she going to deal with the fallout? She says that since nobody saw him get bitten, there's no way to know for sure. And as the rep, she'll take responsibility for everything. Yubai just smiles and says, "All right." He takes her hand and tells her that if that's the case, she can open the door herself. Leroy is stunned. The other girls can't believe he just told her to do it. The blonde girl yells at him, saying he's not a real man for asking a woman to do that, but he just says that for someone who wasn't risking anything, she sure was acting all high and mighty. He tells her that at the end of the day, she's just a hypocrite. Roxy screams at him to shut up. She says she'll open that door because she was never afraid. She calls them a bunch of cowards and tells them to get out of the way. With that, she grabs the doorknob. And the second she turns it, a fully transformed Jong Hong shoves everyone aside and boom, everyone in the room is stunned all over again. The door crashes to the ground. Roxy slowly picks herself up, but she's immediately terrified. The infected Jang Hung is staring her right in the face. He lunges for her and the whole room scatters. In a total panic, she grabs the guy next to her, whining that she's scared. And then she shoves him forward, telling him to protect the representative. But out of nowhere, a foot comes flying in. It's E, and he just kicked her hard in the ribs. basically serving her up as bait for Jang Hang. Yi's got this little smile on his face as the zombie grabs her, going right for her head. But just then, someone with a screwdriver just obliterates the zombie skull. The girl is covered in zombie guts. And he's just standing there with this dark grin. She stumbles outside tangled up with the dead zombie and looks back at Yubi, begging him to save her, but all he can think about is how she made his past life a living hell. He just picks the broken door up off the floor and starts barricading the entrance. She's screaming, "What are you doing?" As he seals her outside, he turns to the others and is like, "Why aren't you blocking the door?" The rest of them, totally freaked out, scramble to help. They start piling up furniture, boxes, anything they can find against the doorway. Outside, you can hear Ruoxi pounding on the wood, screaming about what they're doing as she's begging for help. They're barricading her out. She's yelling that she's the class rep and they can't do this to her. The other girls are too scared to move while the guys keep building the wall. And he's just standing there watching it all. Down. After a while, the rain finally stops and they realize they can't hear Ruoki's voice anymore. Now everyone is looking at and they're terrified. They all remembered him as this super nice, quiet kid. So, why has he suddenly turned into this? Yubi looks around at them. The girls are all crying and shaking. He asks, "Why does everyone look so scared of me?" They all nervously deny it. Then, the blonde guy from before actually thanks him, saying Ruoki would have gotten him killed, and suddenly, everyone's on Yi's side, saying that girl was messed up and was totally fine with sacrificing someone else to save her own skin. Yi cracks a smile. "Since you're all so brave now," he says, "how about we open the door? I want to check something outside." They're all like, "Why would you want to go out there?" He tells them he feels bad about kicking her and wants to see if she's okay. His friends argue back, saying it's side with all the zombies out there, but Yebi just yells at them to get out of the way. Freaked out, they start moving all the junk they'd piled up. They crack the door open and he slowly steps out onto the grass. He looks around and announces that it looks like both the rep and Jonghung are gone. The sun's up and weirdly, the zombies are gone. And at that exact moment, the group slams the door shut on him. From inside, they start yelling that they're not letting a crazy murderer back in, that he would kill everyone. Ye, however, didn't seem to care at all. He just keeps walking across the field while everyone watching thinks he's completely lost it. That's when the blonde guy gasps. There's a female zombie standing right in front of and he's just casually walking toward her. The creature notices him, but he calmly keeps approaching. He smiles and grips the tool. In the next moment, he rushes at her, and everyone is left wondering, why is he charging at the zombie? The poor creature didn't even understand what was happening when she took a blow to the head. And boy, he didn't stop. He smashed her right into the ground, and that was that. The group inside was now certain that guy had gone insane. Our protagonist, though, was pretty exhausted for someone who had just done all that. He went over to the creature's remains and pulled out a pearl. He smiled and said he had found an energy stone that wasn't just the origin of the apocalypse, but also an extremely necessary material. At that moment, even a footstep behind him. He turned and faced an old zombie. The monster was coming at him slowly. He grabbed the tool again, ran toward it, and everyone inside saw him finish off another one. The girl was nearly vomiting, while the blonde boy wanted to know why he had gone so crazy. As far as he could remember, that kid had been a coward, so how had he changed so much? Everyone began thinking about how terrifying he was and believed he was pretending to be someone else. One of the boys said it was a good idea to let him back in since he was really strong and could help kill the zombies, but the others didn't want to support that because he was a lunatic and could end up killing everyone. Suddenly, the window shattered. He asked if his classmates were still in there. He told them to come outside and kill zombies, because it was a lot of fun. The poor souls were all trembling. At that moment, they warned him something was behind him. A zombie had appeared and leaped at him, but he just looked, stretched out his foot, and kicked it in the chest. Once again, he grabbed the tool and struck it in the jaw. As he finished off the creature, the group watched, terrified from behind. Another one fell dead to the ground. Our boy wiped his face while everyone else was too stunned to say anything. He noticed he was being watched and commented that he didn't know if this liquid was going to infect him. He said he wanted to travel with his friends, but it was too risky since he didn't want to hurt them. With that, he left, saying he hoped they would all survive. His friends wondered if he was really going to leave just like that. And with that, they were all left behind in that room. Our boy walked alone across the campus. He climbed the stairs while thinking that this was the beginning of the apocalypse. On the first day, 50% of the population had been infected, and politics, the economy, and society had collapsed. The number of creatures kept increasing along with humanity's fear and despair. Professor Zanhan named this period the Dark Era. In his past life, he had to tear off his own arm to survive that day. For 15 years, he endured hunger, despair, and torture until he finally met a man known as the Mechanic, who was able to send him back to the past. Calmly, he walked through the streets. Some people watched him from hiding, wondering if he wasn't afraid of dying. Others suggested inviting him inside, but they said that if he was walking alone, he must be dangerous. Yubai ignored everything and walked near a park. The zombies were there standing still, seemingly ignoring him. But as soon as he turned his back, those bastards came after him. The blonde boy shouted that the kid was going to die. And the old man said it was crazy to go out looking for food in a world like this. However, Ye just smiled, grabbed his tool again, and struck the first one in the head. One more swing, and another zombie fell to the ground. A hard slam into the ground, and the guys watching wondered where all that courage came from. But someone else was watching him from behind a curtain. A girl muttered that sooner or later she would kill that bastard. Man, what's that about? Our boy is killing zombies. Why are you mad at him, girl? After finishing off 3 creatures, our boy was exhausted, but then he heard something else. A flock of birds coming from behind. 3 more zombies were approaching. He quickly realized he couldn't handle all of them. The zombies slithered towards him and he ran off. He knew the previous noises had attracted a horde to that place. From inside another house, a spunk watched, saying that kid was running straight toward them. That's when E noticed a convenience store next to him. He started banging on the door, asking to be let in. He looked at the camera and said he needed help because he was being chased by a horde of zombies. The old man on the other side said it was ridiculous and no one would ever open the door for a kid like that. But suddenly the gate began to rise.